Welcome to episode 14 of Radio Omnicor. I'm your host, Colleen McClintock, and you're listening to the show that is guaranteed to teach you something useful and introduce you to an interesting and dynamic guest. You can find all our podcasts on iTunes, or alternatively our website. Check out www.omnicor.co.za. This week's episode features Elsa Storm, an international fitness presenter and master instructor. In the episode, Elsa will get our minds into gear for self-care in 2018. So in studio today with us, we have Elsa Storm. She's also known as AfricanStorm. She's an international fitness presenter, coach with many fitness awards behind her name. And she's also renowned for her role in soccer as a fitness coach and has worked with many of our local teams. And I guess the big claim to fame for me is that she is my best spinning instructor. And I have been attending her class for maybe 2 years now, Elsa. And it's such a thrill to actually put you in front of a microphone and hear your wisdom and record it and share it, which you do share so generously with every class. So welcome to the podcast. Why don't you just tell us what's been keeping you so busy?
Thank you for having me, Colleen. This is really an honor to spend private time with you, because in a class you become one of many sitting in front of me, although everybody is just special in some different way. But this is really amazing to be this close to you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very, very busy with many different things, and that's the benefit. When I'm not full-time involved with football, I can pursue a lot of people's passions and a lot of people that need me. So it varies from instructor training itself to personal training, to group sessions, to workshops all over the country. And there's a few waiting for me on an international level again. So every year I have a lot of options to do a lot of international travels. But the football have been holding me in one place. So, because that's a very responsible job. I don't think people out there know the value of a fitness coach for any team, because it all starts there. You are responsible for that body and mind that must deliver on the field.
And what does your personal wellness mean to you? I mean, you teach this stuff, but what does it mean to you to be well and fit and balanced and healthy?
The way I look at life is very different sometimes that I see from people. For me, it's the way it is. The way it is, not to do things that can harm your body. For me, it's just normal. You see, I come from a background where I believe we were given a house to live in, which is our bodies. And if we want to keep this mind clear and be really thankful for the body, then we have to look after that.
So I thought it would be interesting to chat a little bit about getting people on track. In the coaching space, we are often dealing with work-life integration issues. People will say they don't have time to exercise. They don't have time to put in the effort into their meals and their food and all of that. What is sort of the process that you have to get people buying into this wellness as you've bought in?
You see, it might be very true for that specific individual that they don't have time, because they tell their brain they don't have time. So if you tell yourself, for me the brain is a computer, so if you tell this computer that you don't have time, surely you will not have time. Enter. You press enter and there it is, no time. So again, we have to find out why the person is running away from giving themselves the time. Why don't they want to offer that beautiful body they were given and the mind the time for healing, for getting to the best that it can be? There's always a hidden reason, and it's to get behind that. And unfortunately, in our society that we have, people do not take the mental side of wellness very serious. I think there was over time a stigma attached to it. And if you think about it, the brain is such a phenomenal thing in our bodies that if we just really focus and come to a standstill within ourselves, we can really use this computer so effectively, and we can have anything we want because you just program whatever you think will come to you. And it's the same as one of my clients the other day, a special little 12-year-old. He says, I can't do this. I said, yes, so you can't enter, but I'm going to say delete, because once you put a negative in, the negative will come out. Right. We really are just what we think we are and what we tell ourselves we are.
I love the undo button on the computer. I wish we could have that in life.
But you're also in charge of that.
It's true. So how do you get started if you're working with a new client where there potentially is quite a lot of resistance or these limiting beliefs that you speak about? What are the non-negotiables that we need to be doing in our lives with wellness and health?
Well, the first thing, which is a major positive for me, is when somebody does approach me on a personal level for assistance, or a mother approaches me to get their son more safe for the sport at school because they keep getting injuries. So that's really what I can help with. I can make the body so strong and ready to not experience any injury in sport. That's what I do with a professional sports team. That's really the main job. Apart from getting them fit, you have to make sure they're safe. So all the underlying things that you have to do, evaluate the body first. But when they come to you, the mind already is ready because they made that step. It's when somebody is smoking. They have to make that step first to realize, I want to walk away from this because it is a suicide mission, and why do I want to punish my body like this? So the first step is they come to you. Then you have to find out where the limiting beliefs are, because they are in the space that they are because of limiting beliefs. And you have to start digging in and finding where they come from, get a bit of history, apart from evaluation of body. But the history that they give you is a very important one, because maybe there's no muscle memory, maybe there's wrong memory. So all of those things must be taken into consideration.
I think it's interesting just in terms of my history. So everyone said start exercising, and that was too embarrassing for me to do. I had this faulty belief that when I lost weight, then it would be a good time to go to the gym, because going to the gym is quite intimidating. The bodies, everyone walking around there and strutting their stuff. And I see that you founded the Aquatic Association in South Africa, and that's actually where I started, was with aqua aerobics.
That's amazing, because that's a very safe place to start.
Exactly, because my body was totally hidden. So
it's one of the benefits of aquatics. And unfortunately in this country people do not realize, because any sports team that I've been with will tell you that pre-season they're in that water a lot, because you cannot replace that fitness that you build up in the water. And obviously you have to work out good periodization to add water to your program. But most people that come to a gym or not come to a gym and have a pool at home do not realize the value of water. I always say, if I was one of the normal people like yourself going to a facility or having to train, I would spend many hours in the water, because there's so many benefits. I think when I wrote this manual, I came to about 36 benefits, just basic benefits of being in the water and exercising in the water. And I'm not talking swimming, just exercising for what you believe you need.
I found always with aqua that it was like a mind-body intervention, because being in the water just seemed to be really relaxing for the mind also.
I ran an aquatic setup in Norwood many years back, and I had 12 classes a day.
Wow.
And the phenomenal changes in people that took place was never to be you can never replace that again. It was phenomenal.
And now, how's your attendance in classes now?
I personally find my own is well attended because I motivate people because they understand why they're there. You can have fun while working on a goal, but start thinking seriously, not just a normal six-pack, broad shoulder thinking, tight buns. Get away from that and think really, what do I want? Because most people have others in their lives. So when you have somebody else in your life, you have a big responsibility. You have to make sure one day when time walks on that you are functional and independent and strong enough so that the other person does not have to spend their time looking after you. And I find that so much. The one partner always look after themselves while the other one just give up and eat sugar and let go. And it's not fair. When you enter a relationship or when you have children in your life, you have a responsibility, huge. And for yourself, yes, you must be the best you can be. But the other people in your life is there. That's a reality. You've chosen to encircle yourself with that person or persons. So you have a big responsibility. So draw up your goals and then start finding ways, how am I going to get there? And seek help if you don't know.
So we have, as you well know, diabetes is a huge epidemic in South Africa, obesity, and specifically with children. How do you motivate teenagers who are in that phase where they're just rebelling, they don't necessarily see the value? How do you motivate a teenager to take care of themselves? You can't force them.
See, we have a big problem in the society because there's the peer pressure. And especially, mostly the girls. If the one girl loses a lot of weight, the others want to follow. And that's when you get things like anorexia and bulimia starting. And that is something that any parent do not want to wish on their child. So we want to do this thing in a fun way, having the whole family involved in exercise and not make it a formal thing. I run a little boot camp on a Sunday. I call it the fitness camp, and it's mostly for the family. Come with your kids and have fun, because then their bodies are starting to get used to what it is to train and to run and to do some muscle work rather than a formal gym environment for kids, is what I would suggest. But the parents must be involved, because if you have kids, why don't you want to get involved? I think parents need to think much harder before they have the kids. I have mothers in the first bed coming to train before they fall pregnant to get the body they want, then during pregnancy, because that's just maintenance, and then afterwards they come again. And then I always motivate, now it starts, your time is with the kids.
So Elsa, maybe let's take a little closer look or dive into your process of goal setting. So if you were with somebody who wanted to set some wellness, health, exercise goals, where would you start?
I'm glad you mentioned the wellness, health, because we cannot have a perfect body, which people are striving for, without the perfect mind. So what I make them do is I let them draw a circle. And there's 4 points on the circle so that I can see where we are. In the middle is the north. The outside of the circle will be the 10. And it doesn't matter where you put the 4 points, which will be the physical, social, emotional, spiritual, and then the mental. So they have to give me on those 4 points from 0 to 10 a little spot. And then we combine these lines. And then let's see if this wheel can roll. So if a wheel is smooth, it can roll. But if it has sharp edges, it's a difficult thing. So even if everything is on a 2, it rolls smoother than some 2, some 8s, some 5s. So that's my start normally. that I can see where we are. And then if the physical is on a low side, obviously I have to intervene there, and the next step will be pulling out the physical, and we're going into the nutritional as well as the exercise side, and we dissect that. And unfortunately, in today's society, I think our biggest enemy is sugar, because everything that people just have in a day is sugar. And it's a very scary thing that we're dealing with. And what's more scary is people don't see how much they're taking in one day. Mm-hmm. If you just think what you have from breakfast throughout the day, and it's a colorful yogurt here, and it's a muesli there, all of those things have spoons full.
And they seem so healthy on the surface.
But it's also the beautiful advertising that's out there. And people without knowledge, or with a lack of knowledge about themselves, fall for any beautiful advert that's there. Mm-hmm. And it's like that. Mm-hmm. Advertisers make it appetizing for kids, and kids want to go and buy those colorful cereals. Mm-hmm. And again, we have to look at ways where we can change things and make it fun. And there are ways. If you really put your mind to it, and I'm talking mostly from the female perspective, we are very innovative, and we can come up with solutions to make things fun. I remember how my mother used to color my porridge so that I can just eat my porridge. But those are little things that we can use.
Did you not like your porridge?
I mustn't. It sounds like I didn't. You had to make it pink and green. But you can find ways to make things look attractive and put it in a pie or do something with it. So I'm not fully convinced that people can just give up on good eating habits at all. And we all know when somebody complains about tiredness, just look at the sugar intake. So when they show me what the weaknesses are in those circles, we then start drawing up goals. Where do you want to go? So that's the difficulty in a group scenario, to just put people in a group, and especially where there's muscle work involved. It's easier where you are every Sunday morning on the bike. The bike is such a safe place, like the water, because you can regulate. If it's your off day, you can use the mental side and just be together in that group of people and have a mental wellness. But when you are in muscle conditions, there's the danger of safety, that you could get injured, and everybody has got a different, or should have a different goal, because we were made all beautifully different. And that is so phenomenal, to always deal with these different bodies, because they're all unique and they all need something different. And I think people that start training must realize that. I am a unique individual. Look in the mirror and first talk to yourself. I'm so unique. And where do I want to go? What do I want to achieve with my mind and my body? And then find the right person and let them help you and guide you, because you could have a phenomenal maths brain, but you have no idea what to do with your body. And that's why they are specialists. So the goals must be written down. Otherwise, they disappear. And that you can look back. And that's why I always do an assessment with my clients. And when they look back and see how much weight they've lost, or how much stronger they've gotten, or how the weaknesses were sorted out. Because we all know the one side of the body's weak, other side strong. So our job is to get that equal and then work from there. And it's an amazing process to walk with clients. It's so exciting to see how their lives are changing. And especially where you are on a Sunday in a spinning class. I can maybe mention in one of my presentations here in this country, I had a person right in the back of a class, of a very big presentation, and he was so motivated. Afterwards, he lost 64 kilos.
Wow.
It was so phenomenal. So you just need that something to tweak. That's something that's going to make you decide, yes, I can.
And I think also the long-term maintenance speaks to your philosophy on change and on, embedding new habits, because it's easy to do it for a week or two. We all see the gym in January when everyone's come back.
It's amazing, eh?
Yeah, so what is your philosophy on change, and how do you get it to be embedded?
Again, I will come back to the background of the individual. It plays such a big role. That's why I always say to parents, please pay attention how you raise your children. It is more important than anybody in the entire country understands. Our teachers should be the best trained, because those kids, they are the ones that one day have to deal with this problem that you mentioned now. They have to make exercise and good eating habits and mental stimulation part of their life, because that's what it is to be on earth. And if they didn't have the background, they are in trouble. So that's why people can start in the beginning of the year and not continue, because they haven't been taught perseverance, persistence, motivation, positive thinking. Yes, there will be days that you're not feeling like doing things that you should be doing. And you will fall off and you will fall back. But you need the skills to climb back up on the ladder again and continue. I think a lot of times parents are not ensuring that kids understand what a responsibility it is to be alive. It's not just relaxing in front of television. In actual fact, it's hard work. It's very hard work. And when parents can make that clear to kids that it's actually great to do that and it's rewarding, then it can be embedded. But now with adults that haven't had that, it's difficult. And it's up to the fitness people in front of them to try and motivate them, to try and get through to, there may be 60 people in front of you, but to try and touch at least one person to make a permanent change to their body and their mind.
Well, I think you've raised a very important issue around just the new science around sedentary behavior that we now have, even sitting at the office in front of the screens, and the children not, they don't go out like they used to, certainly in South Africa, and how that affects heart rate variability and our wellness overall. So have you noticed a change in the exercise space in the last few years? What have you seen?
Well, everything is so easy available. If I think about my professional sports players, the habit is not there to not go home and sit in front of a television or play a computer game. That habit is not embedded to actually, after training, like in Europe, after training, go and work on your weaknesses with somebody in the gym environment. In Europe, you have a team training from the morning. They come from the gym, they do a workout, they go onto the field, they do their training, they have their meal. After that, they have a small rest. Then they start again in the gym working on weaknesses. Then the afternoon training. And at night, after the meal, they sit and evaluate video. They look at other games and the oppositions. So it's a habit that needs to be embedded. And it needs to change. Otherwise, we will never perform, even sport-wise, on a high level in the world. We cannot. Because people don't understand that this is a full-time job. To be a professional athlete, it's a full-time job and a heck of a responsibility.
It looks easy when you watch them actually just playing the game. You wonder, wow, what does it take behind the scenes? But it's a 8-hour job that they're doing.
And that needs to be given to all kids from small to understand. Because that's why we also not have a lot of players in Europe, because they get there and it's a complete different lifestyle. It's a serious lifestyle. There's hardly time or energy to sit and vegetate because it's taxing on the body. Normally what needs to be the first thing is to look at the nutrition, because you are what you eat. And if we can just, as a society, understand those words a bit more serious, we will get much further. I know over this festive period, people are going to have things they don't normally have. You do not have to cut those out. You can enjoy yourself, but you know that you are doing it in a moderation, first of all. And when you get back to work, like you go every morning to work and come back, you also have to look after yourself. I always say, if you can eat, you can train, because that is your vehicle that you work with. And I've seen so many unhappiness in people that are overweight and not having a strong body. Even though people say that they're happy, they are not happy, because you can be better. You can be the best that you can be, to be strong and mobile. Just mobility is important. And then have good food, and good food will come out on your body. When I look at the body, I know what is happening on the meals. I can immediately see what you're having to eat and drink, because the body shows us. You cannot hide that.
Elsa, in those classes that you run on a Sunday, the thing that amazes me is they just never get easier. So I suppose that's also sometimes off-putting for people, because you don't see the progress, because they always feel hard. I mean, that's probably a sign of the good instructor you are. But how do you keep motivated and keep coming back? What do you look for as an instructor?
I write some articles on the online paper, the Joburg Post, and I've written one on supercompensation. And there it tells you exactly, when you reach that plateau in your training, how important it is to tweak one of the things, whether it's the intensity or the duration. One of those things need to be tweaked to move on to the next plateau. And you cannot, I always say, change is inevitable. You cannot be comfortable in one spot. And that's not just for the classes, that's in your life. If you cannot change anymore, then you've reached a point of serious sadness, because life always changes. And how quickly you can adjust to that change tells people about your competence of your own life. So I will always try and get people into a better space and not become comfortable, because comfort brings boredom, and boredom is not productive, it's not positive. And if people just realize how much potential they have, I always believe in them more than they believe in themselves, because I've seen bodies over a long period, what you really can end up doing. And that's why I will always take that next level and the next level. So that's why you come back. You want to achieve more.
Sort of the other aspect or the spectrum is overtraining, just dealing with people who put in too much. How much is enough in a week?
It's interesting that you mention that, because it's a big thing in a lot of communities. It becomes like a drug, because your body does excrete dopamine, which is a good hormone. If you use it correctly, it will give you beautiful youth, and you will actually not age. But if you use it too much, if you overdo it, your body will age prematurely, because you're taking away. So the balance has to be there. Again, Colleen, we're coming back to the wheel. The balance, your life. Physical, I put you on a balance board. In life, you have to balance your different aspects, because too much of one, there's going to be a sharp edge. So exercise can drain you, and it can have the opposite effect if you overtrain. So you will be tired, you will crave sweet sugary things, because it's quick energy. And one thing leads to the other, and you become on a treadmill of unhealthy habits. It can be, and it's difficult. Not a lot of people overtrain, but there are a big percentage that does, and it will lead to problems. Maybe not at the immediate, but later.
So what would be sort of a safe amount of training to do in a week?
You know, if you look at what doctors prescribe or the American College of Sports Medicine, it's minimal. It's like your normal 3 cardio sessions with 2 muscular sessions. It's normal. But in that time, obviously, do things you like. Don't force yourself to go to something you don't like. But it's not an overtraining. We're not talking professional athletes. You are all in corporate environments. You need your brain so much so that you cannot overtrain and be tired, because you will experience mental fatigue. So I would suggest choose very carefully where you want to go with your goals. Obviously, sometimes we need to put in a little bit more effort if you've let your body go and you find yourself totally overweight at this point in time and not strong, because I believe strength is so important. And I'm not talking just heavy metal weights. I'm talking your own body. If you speak to most of my personal clients and the players that I've dealt with for a long time, I'm very much a believer of your own body weight, because in life you're walking around with that weight. If there's a fire, you're going to take that weight and have to climb out of a window. So you need to be able to handle your own body weight. I see older people, they have to lift their body weight off the chair. So that's what the normal corporate, the normal person needs to be able to do. I'm not talking bodybuilders who needs those big muscles to compete. That is their sport. Or athletes that needs more strength, maybe in a hamstring or a shoulder. That's a different aspect. But for our population overall, moderate exercise, and mostly for the women, make sure to avoid the osteopenic conditions. Strengthen the bones. And how do you do that? By having stronger muscle and having a little moderate impact on the bones to help with the stimulation of that bone growth.
So Elsa, what do you suggest for people who are not gym people? They just don't like the whole vibe at gym, or they perhaps can't afford a personal trainer. How could they get started on a fitness regime?
Yeah, remember, you do not have to go to a gym, but the problem is people haven't got the knowledge always to start. So the best thing to do is to find out who you are, first of all, and why you haven't started, and what your background is. Have you played sport at school? Because why you have to ask yourself the questions is there's muscle memory. If there's nothing, you stand a chance to get injured if you just zip into any fitness modality. You have to quickly have an analyzing moment for yourself. I always say make a meeting with yourself and then just see where you come from, what you're going to have to do to slowly start. And my first thing is, for people that have never done anything, is start with walking, right? Then mobility. Make sure that you're mobile, and that's where the pool comes in, because that provides super mobility. And then the core muscles. If our core is strong, we stand a chance of avoiding injury. And the core muscles, it does not mean that you lie on the floor doing the wrong thing, which is 100 crunches, and you're just making sure that you're hurting your back more and more. Because think about a crunch. If you come forward and as you are there, you can put your hand on your stomach, there's nothing happening there. But when you lean backwards, yes, there's a contraction. So people have it all wrong by going forward, and the back is just bulging out at all the time more and more. So avoid those things. Rather turn around, do the planks, do the core work on a balance board, support the back on a cushion behind before you do anything, rather than giving yourself more. You know, our society has this rounded posture, the kyphotic posture, where the ear is way in front of the shoulder. That is a problem. And I would say people all should stand with their back against the wall, feet against the wall, stretching their arms straight out next to them, making a big circle to the top. And if they cannot keep the elbows and the wrists against the wall anymore, then they already need serious work on the upper back muscles and the chest.
I'm going to be doing that with all our coders as soon as I finish the podcast. They're all on their screens all day. Yeah.
Because that's a sign for you. Because people know me as being a bit pedantic about form, but I believe if your aerial on the roof is not tuned incorrectly, you're not getting a good signal. So you have to always look at your ear. Is it in line with your shoulder? Is it in line with your hips? Is it in line with your knee and your ankle? Once that line goes, you are in trouble and you need professional assistance.
Well, I think you've given us all a lot of ways to think about setting goals. And maybe just to end with, what are sort of the common barriers or limiting beliefs that you come across, and how can we overcome those?
It's the swear word, I can't. And I force that out of people's vocabulary. Also, when I train instructors, they are trained to always use positive suggestions to all of you that are in front of them. Because if I tell you right now, do not see that cow with the red dots, you see that cow. So everything that you say must be positive and helping you to subconsciously nurture your brain to think in a different way. So they always believe they can't till you show them they can, because maybe they grew up with limiting beliefs. They grew up with a lack of self-confidence. It wasn't given to them. Again, the backgrounds. So we are there as fitness professionals and people in the wellness sector to assist people to change their minds about themselves. Because if your house, your body is not in good condition, your self-confidence goes. And that's one of my immense pleasures, to see how people change when the weight goes, when they get stronger and they see, but I can do this week. I couldn't do it last week, but I can this week. And you on the bike on a Sunday will see, I'm struggling now to get my heart rate up. Before, I struggled to get it down. So your heart rate reserve gets better. People's body changes. They buy new clothes. They do their hair differently. And it doesn't mean that we're a society that just lives for the physical, not at all. But we have a responsibility towards our physical, because it's part of us. So you cannot exist without that. It's one and the same thing. So when you can give people that belief, I can, yes, and I will, because I have support systems. Maybe you can drag in the family, the husband, the wife, the kids, a friend. It helps for a lot of people. They are not loners and they can't do it on their own. The buddy system is always a good idea, because when you feel you're going to sleep, the buddy comes and pitches up at your house and says, come get your bike, we're going on the road, or we're going to walk. So the buddy system assists a lot.
I can vouch for that, because we have a crew and the admin to just not come is just too much. So you'd rather go. Without that group there are many Sundays where I probably wouldn't have gone. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's why you are in a group environment. I think that's the benefit of a gym or an outside environment where people get together. When people get together, there's always a good energy. Look at sports events. Look at the World Cup. What a beautiful nation we were at the time, because we were all together in groups and singing and just having the same vision. So I think that's where gyms have the advantage to put you with others, and other people are so wonderful, and people are just wonderful. So we must just all love each other and help each other.
And how long do you see yourself doing this work, Elsa?
I think this is me forever, because it's not work. I always believe if you enjoy what you do, you don't work. I actually have never worked. Although people think I work very hard, I don't think I've ever worked, because I make changes as I go along. And it's just phenomenal, whether it's in a formal environment, in a sports team, or the 80-year-old who just had a brain operation and he overcomes his Parkinson's, which is one of my other clients. That is amazing. Everything is just amazing because there's always change. And positive change is amazing.
And so where could people find you if they wanted to get in touch with you?
I have left all my details with you. There's quite a couple of web pages and Instagrams and Facebooks, and then I also gave my phone number there, so I'm not sure if you just want to put it on afterwards, and people are most welcome. I can't always answer phones because I'm always busy with somebody else, but I can answer messages.
Perfect. We'll link those to the show notes.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Elsa. It was wonderful to get all your wisdom and your inspiration as always. And we're really grateful for you visiting.
And thank you for having me, and I'll see you Sunday.
So your full potential awaits. Wishing you all a well-deserved rest and an inspired 2018. Thanks to our producer, William Irwin, and the entire Omnicor team for all their support. Please don't forget to comment on iTunes, rate our podcast. It really will help us grow our audience. Thank you so much.